Good morning and welcome to Succah Daf Succah 26. I'm missing Shmuel or some Chavrusa to join me today. It's Bein Azmanim here in Eretz Yisrael, and there's not too many people around. People are going with their kids on trips. They're doing all fun things. They're eating ice cream. They have plenty to do, so they don't have time to learn with me. So I'm going to do this share myself. We'll start on the bottom of Chavav, Hamad Beis, the second to last line. Tarabana Chasan Vashishpini Chol Bnei Achupa Ptura Min Atfila Min Atfilin V'Chayav Mekriya Shema. Chasan and his friends and all the people involved in the chuppah. Who are all these people involved in the chuppah? I guess you could say the Panim Chadashos maybe. They're all pater from Tefillah and Tefillah. Tefillah they're pater for because you need kavanah to daven. And it's hard to have kavanah when you're engaged in the simcha of chasana. Tefillin they're pater from because Rashi says b'shum the shchicha shichros v'kalas rosh, because you're joking around a lot. You don't have the proper mindset to wear tefillin. But the chayim and kriyat shema because there's no osik mitzvah pater min a mitzvah. It's not really doing a mitzvah over here. Mishum tab of chavav min aleph mishum Rabbi Sheila amru chasan pater v'shishbinin v'chol bnei achupa chayavin. Sheila learned that even kriyat shema chasan is pater. Why is he pater? Because he's tired in the mitzvah of misameach his wife. You have to misameach your wife during Shabbat brachos. So he's pater from kriyat shema, and everybody else would be chayiv. Tanya Amar b'chananya ben Akav kosin svarim tefillin and mezuzos kosvei tefillin svarim and tefillin mezuzos hein v'tikrein v'tikrein chol oskim lecha shemayim. People who write stam sefer Torah or tefillin or mezuzos, the dealers from the dealers, and everyone osik melach shemayim lasuye would include what mochrei tchelas. People sell tchelas, even though tchelas is part of tzitzis, and tzitzis you don't have to actually wear every day. You just have to wear it if you're wearing a four-cornered garment. Your pater mikriya shema min atfilin mikol mitzvahs ha'amuros b'Torah, and any mitzvah in the Torah. If you're involved in actually writing the sefer Torah, l'kaim div yoseg lili shayar yoseg lili homer ha'oseg mitzvah pater min mitzvah. Someone who's doing a mitzvah is exempt from doing another mitzvah. So if you want to get out of saying kriyat shema every morning, then become a sofer. Become a sofer. You write some tefillin. You write some mezuzahs. You write a mezuzah every morning. You can pater yourself from kriyat shema if you want. If you don't want to say kriyat shema, it's too hard for you. It's too hard for you to say Shemona Esrei. You don't want to come to minyan. Become a sofer. That's the eitzah. Tana Rabbanan. Holchei drachim b'yom p'turim min ha-sukkah yom v'chayavim b'layla. Holchei drachim b'layla p'turim min ha-sukkah b'layla v'chayavim b'yom. People who travel, Rashi learns for business. You're traveling during the day for business, so you don't have to eat in the sukkah until you go work on Chol HaMoed. Now, technically, supposed to work on Chol HaMoed. A lot of people do work on Chol HaMoed. Maybe it's Davar Ovid. You go to Manhattan, there's no sukkahs around. Nowadays, they have a sukkah in every restaurant, but it used to be there weren't so many sukkahs around, so you don't have to eat in a sukkah because you're going for Parnasa. And normally, when you go for Parnasa, you leave your house, so sukkah's like your house. You can leave. If you go for business at night, right? You open your business at night, whatever business it is. I don't know, you have a pool hall or something like that. So you're pater at night because you're not next to your house. You wouldn't be chayiv in a sukkah either. If you're a guy who works 24 hours, you're involved in cryptocurrency. You're a broker for cryptocurrency, and you're working 24 hours a day. So, you're pater from sukkah the whole sukkahs. You can deal with cryptocurrency instead of daled minim. I don't know which one is worse. Which one is harder, not worse. Which one is harder? So the Gemara says, "Kiha holchei holchem dvar mitzvah p'turim yom v'leila." If you're going for a dvar mitzvah, you're shluchei mitzvah, like the Mishnah says. You're on your way to do a mitzvah, even if you're actually not traveling at night or not traveling the day, you're still pater the whole day and the whole night. When they would go for the weekend to Reish Galusa's speech. He used to give a Yarche Kala. He used to give a weekend at the hotel there at Gateways project. For Shavuos, they would go for Shavuos, the Gateways project. So Habugani Araksa the Surah. They would sleep on the bank of the river at Surah in Bavel. Amar Ana Shluchei Mitzvah, Ana Pturim. Where Shluchei Mitzvah? They're going to hear a shir. So they're patur from Sukkah. Tana Rabbanan. Shomer ha'ir b'yom Pturim min Sukkah b'yom v'chayim b'layla. Shomer b'layla Pturim min Sukkah b'layla v'chayim b'yom. He's just talking about police officers, people who watch the city. They patrol. So you're patrolling during the day. You're patur from Sukkah because you're not near your house. Same thing as Holchei Drachim. Patrol at night. This guy, this Jewish guy, Richie Taylor. He's a frum guy. I think he's Orthodox. He's a police officer. Just got honored in Flatbush, along with Eric Adams, the probable next mayor of New York City. So this guy, Richie Taylor, is featured in Mishpacha magazine, I think. Anyway, he patrols sometimes during the day, sometimes at night. He patrol at night. So you're patur at night. If you patrol the whole day, you're trying to get a good pension, you're patur the whole day and the whole night. Let's say you're watching someone's field, their orchard or their field. You don't want people to steal the flowers, they want to steal the oranges, whatever you're watching. You're patur even if you're not actively watching it at night or during the day. You're patur because the reason is because they're staying there the whole time. They have to be there. So it's really like they're shomer the whole day and whole night. Why don't they just do a sukkah there? Police officers are patrolling. They have no set place. But these people who are watching, they're just standing outside the orchard. Let them build a sukkah over there. Abaya Marteshu came to your yeshiva sukkah has to be like living in your house. When you live in your house, you have to bring all your fancy couches, your fancy armoires. You have to bring your fancy things, your tables, your couches, your whatever you need, your ottomans, whatever you need to make yourself comfortable. You can't bring that. It's hard to bring that to the field. So therefore, you're not obligated in Sukkah. Rava Amar Pirza Kora Lagana. Because if you're sitting in the Sukkah, Rava says, the Ganavim will realize, the thieves will realize you're sitting in the Sukkah. They'll come from a different side and steal from the fields, from the orchard. My Benayu, what's the difference between them? Ika Benayu, the Kaminter Karya the Piri. If the fruits are in a basket and they're sitting in front of you, so according to Rava, there's no chance the Ganavim are going to steal it. According to Abaye, you have to be in front of the field where all the fruits are. So, Teishuk and Duro, you're not chayiv in Sukkah. Cholim and Mishamshayim. Mishnah says people who are sick and there are people that attend to them are part from the Sukkah. It's not talking about where it's that you're going to die if you live in the Sukkah. Even there's no chance of dying. Even though you have something, an ache in your eye or an ache in your head, you have a small headache, you're still patur. One time I had an eye ache in Kisri, in Caesarea. He allowed me, Rabbi Yossi was in charge there, to let me and my attendants sleep outside the sukkah. Rav Sharla, Rav Acha Bardla, and Migdam Akilsa. Rav allowed Rav Acha Bardla to sleep in a kila, which is 10 tefachim high, which would be considered an OL, and it would be considered like you're not in the sukkah. The sukkah, mishum baki, because of mosquitoes, they're bothering him. So I guess that would be part of a chash berosho, chash bekol gufo. Mosquitoes, they hurt you, hurt your body, so, they make you itch. So even a little itch can pop you from the sukkah. Rav Sharle, the Rav Acha, Bar Adel, and Migna Bar Mitlalasa. Rava allowed this Amora to sleep outside the sukkah. Mishum sircha de gargishta, because it smelled, white sand smelled bad when they were spreading on the floor of the sukkah. So, Rava L'tamei, what's the reasoning? The Amar Rava mitzdayer patrim in a sukkah, into his mitzdayer, doesn't mean he's sick. It means that he's distressed. He's in pain. You're patr from a sukkah. Bad smells in pain. Cholim shayim turim in a sukkah. cholim. Mitzayir lo. Our Mishnah only says cholim. It says sick people. It doesn't say people who just don't like the smell. If you don't like something that smells, it doesn't mean you're a sick person. Some people think that if they don't have the right smell, then they become sick. But the Gemara is saying that's not true. That's only called mitzayir. Amri chola hu mishamshav p'tur mitzayir hu patur mishamshav lo. So the Gemara says you're right. Mitzayir really is patur. The Mishnah is saying chola, someone who's sick, he has a small headache or an itch. He and his attendants, because he needs his attendants they would come into the house with him. They would come to wherever he's going. So he needs them. So the attendants are also patur mitzvah. Mitzvah. He doesn't need the attendants. He just smells bad. You remove that problem by going inside, and you don't need attendants to come with you. His attendants, obviously we're talking about very rich people. They have a lot of butlers. So the butlers have to stay in the sukkah. You're allowed to eat a temporary eating outside the sukkah. How much the achilas arai? Amar Yosef tarte utlas bei. 2 or 3 eggs. If you eat 2 or 3 eggs, that's okay. More than that is what you have to eat in the sukkah. We're talking about bread over here. A lot of times people eat the amount of bread of 2 or 3 eggs. It's enough. How many slices of bread is that? I don't know. They say an egg is a slice of a piece of rye bread or something like that. I think is a slice of a beitza, half a piece of the gazayas. You have 2 or 3 slices of bread. That's enough for some people. You put some peanut butter. You put some tuna fish in there, whatever you like. A lot of times people have 2 or 3 slices of bread, and that's a permanent suitor for them. That's not called arai. That's not called temporary. A student, when he's going to hear the shir from the Rebbe, before Succah or before Pesach, so he eats, let's say, a kibetza. How much? A mouthful, which is a kibetza. So if it's a kibetza, that's all right. More than a kibetza, more than 1 slice of bread is considered to be kva, and you have to eat in the sukkah. You could eat temporary eating outside the sukkah, but a temporary sleeping, even a little bit of sleeping, you have to do in the sukkah. You can't sleep at all outside the sukkah. My time, because if you sleep a little, we're concerned you might go and nap for a long time, and that's a chance to kava, and that's called living outside the sukkah. There's a different price which says you're allowed to sleep temporarily with your tefillin on, but not a permanent sleeping. The reason being over there because you might come to pass gas. You pass gas, it's a problem. Shomer the kedusha the tefillin. You should be concerned also. You might go into a more permanent sleep. You might doze off. Amar of Yosef, Breder of Eli, but Moses Shinas Alacher. That brayse about tefillin is talking about where you have someone to wake you up. You have a personal alarm clock. Maybe an alarm clock would be good enough. You have an alarm clock. Maskevla Rav Yasharsha Arvach Arva Sarich says even if you ask someone to wake you up, he also needs a shomer. He needs something. He might fall asleep also. It's a little strange. Person waking you up, obviously we're talking about night over here, the person might fall asleep, so he needs a shomer for a shomer, so it's not going to help the shomer system. An alarm clock maybe would help, because it depends what kind of phone you have. If you have a good alarm, if you have a kosher phone, so some of the kosher phones have good apps, have good settings, but some of them don't. It might break. So it depends what type of phone you have. Ma'askivlar Masharsha Arvichara Sarach Elama Rabba Barachan Amr Yocham Maniach Rosh Ben Birkav Askin. And the brayso by tefillin, the reason it's not a problem Shema Yiradim is because we're talking about he's putting his head between his knees when he's sleeping. Ever try this? When you sleep, you put your head between your knees. I don't know if I'm capable of doing that. But if you're capable of doing it, you're not going to sleep for a long time. Rava Amar, the reason you can't sleep, Shenas Arai Chutz Sukkah, Ein Kval Shena, is by Sukkah. Even sleeping a little bit, taking a short nap, even we'll see how short that is, that's good enough for some people. It refreshes some people. I heard from Rav Yisrael Belsky, that he said he used to take a nap, I think after Mincha, before he gave his shir. He gave his shir, I think 2:30. I think Mincha was like 2:05 or something like that. He used to sleep. He used to go to his desk and sleep for 5 minutes before the shir. He quoted Rav Moshe Feinstein He said that he had special siyat d'shmaya Moshe Feinstein, that whenever he was able to whenever he put his head down, he would immediately fall asleep. So therefore, he would only need 5 minutes of sleep. And Arbelsky also followed Kedarko Kodesh, that he would sleep for 5 minutes. He would put his head down. He was able to fall asleep right away. So that could be enough for some people, 5 minutes of sleep. So therefore, it's considered to be Sheinas Kva, even if you don't sleep for 5 minutes. So therefore, it's like you're living out of the Sukkah. But tefillin is because Shama Yafiach, that you might come to ask gas, so therefore it's also even Sheinas Arai. Therefore, Sheinas Arai will be mutter, Sheinas Kva will be a problem. Tani Chada, one Brisa says, Yashan Adam tefillin Sheinas Arai, I have all Sheinas Kva. One Brisa says you can sleep in your tefillin, temporary sleeping, but not permanent. Tani Idach, Ben Kva, Ben Arai. You can do either one. Tani Idach, Lo Kva, Lo Arai. Neither one is permitted. Lo Kasha. How do we resolve these Brises? How the Nakilu Biyadeh. If he is holding the tefillin in his hand, you can't do Ben Kva, Ben Arai, because you might drop your tefillin. Had the Manchi Bereshi, if you're wearing your tefillin, so then Arai you could do, like you said. Kva you can't do. Had the Paris Sudra love it, if you take them up and you put them next to you and you spread a handkerchief over them, then it's okay because you don't have to put them away. Nothing's going to happen to them. Kama Sheinas Arai. What is considered a Sheinas Arai? Tani Ram Recheskel G'day Hilach Mea Amma. The amount of time it takes you to walk 100 amos. Now a football field is about 100 yards. 100 yard is about 3 feet. Yard is 3 feet. Mea Amma. Amma is 2 feet. So 2/3 of a football field. Tani Nami Hachi Yasham Tefillin Roa Keri. A Bryce is similar to this. Someone who's sleeping in his tefillin, he sees Keri. He has seminal emission. Oches b'ritzua, ve'eno oches b'tzitza. When he takes it off, he has to take it off. He has to hold the strap and don't hold the actual box of the tefillin when he takes it off. Divra b'yakov. V'cham omrim yashan and b'tefillin shenas arai, aval lo shenas kva. That Rabbi Chacham say you shouldn't be coming to seeing Keri because you can only do shenas arai, not shenas kva. Kama shenas arai. How short is shenas arai? K'dei hilach mea amma. Now the time it takes you to walk 100 amas. Amarav, Aser Adam Lishan B'yom Yoter Mashinas Asus. It's Aser. People will sleep during the day more than the sleep of a horse. Horse doesn't sleep for a long time. Mashinas Asus. How long does a horse sleep for? Shisa Nishmi, 60 breaths, 60 respirations, I think our school says. Amar Abaye, Shinsei Damar Kidurav. Shinsa of his Rebbe, Rabba, was like Rab. The Rav Kid the Rebbe, and Rab sleeping was like Rebbe during the day. Or the Rebbe Kid the David. And Rebbe sleeping during the day was like David. The David the Succah, and David slept the amount, even at night, like the amount of a horse would sleep. The Succah, Shis and Nishmei. And a horse would sleep for 60 respirations, 60 breaths. Not a long time, maybe, I don't know, a minute. How many breaths do you take in a minute? I don't know. 2 minutes. Abaye would sleep, sounds like during the day. The time it takes to go from B'disa to Beikubi. Rashi says this is 6 parsos, which is 24 mil. A mil is 18 minutes. Comes up about 7 hours. It's a little weird that he would sleep for 7 hours during the day. Maybe it's talking at night. Karle Rav Yosef, Ad Maseh Atzal Tishka, Masai Takum Shazak. He says you're very lazy. Interesting, he says he's very lazy. The Gemara says Asr to sleep during the day. Probably the Gemara means that he slept at night for 7 hours. And he was saying that 7 hours is too much to sleep at night. You should be sleeping for 5 hours at night. The Rambam says 8 hours at night. Someone who wants to go to sleep during the day, now there's nothing to do with Sukkah. If he wants to take off his tefillin, he can take it off. If he wants to leave it on, he can leave it on. When you go to sleep at night, it's going to be a permanent sleep. You have to take off your tefillin, and you can't leave it on. Divrei Rabbi Nasa. Rabbi Yossi Omer Hayeladim La'olam Choltzim Eina Menichim. Young men, they always have to take off their tefillin. Neisher Agilim Betuma, because they might see Keri. Lema Kazer Rabbi Yossi Bal Keri Asr Laniach tefillin. So Rabbi Yossi was the one who says this. He's going to say that a Baal Keri can't wear tefillin. We're not talking about where he's by himself. We're talking about young men when they're with their wives. They might come to be together with their wives, and therefore it's inappropriate to wear tefillin. If you forgot and you actually were together with your wife when you're wearing tefillin, you can't take it off. First you have to wash your hands, and then you can take them off. After you wash your hands, then you can take them off because your hands probably touched a dirty area. A Mishnah. There was an incident where they gave Yochanan and Zakkai to taste some cooked food. They wanted to bring him 2 big dates and a pail of water. He said, don't eat outside the sukkah, bring it into the sukkah. When they gave Rabbi Sadok bread, let's say, that was less than a beitza, he held it in a napkin. He didn't wash his hands. He ate it outside the sukkah. He didn't say birkas hamazon. 3 halachas you can learn from them, all because it was less than a beitza. So the Gemara says Ma'isa Listar. The beginning of the Mishnah and the end of the Mishnah seem to contradict each other, because do you have to eat? These are achilas arai, less than a beitza, or eating figs. These things were achilas arai. So achilas arai, the Gemara first says, the Mishnah first says that it said bring it to the sukkah, and Rizadok was eating outside the sukkah. So what do you do? So if you want to eat food, even if that's not obligated, if you want to eat it in the sukkah, it's not yura, it's not gaivadik, it's tavalav bracha. It's a good thing to eat everything in the sukkah. They gave him a little meat to eat, or some figs, and he said, bring it to Amru Hel in the sukkah. On top of Chazayim and Aleph, they gave him bread less than a kibetza. He held it in a napkin and he ate it outside the sukkah. So he was following the halacha. He wasn't a machmer tavalah bracha. He was following the pasha halacha, and you could eat it outside the sukkah. So the Gemara says, Rav Yosef says that achilas kva is 2 or 3 beitza, and Abaye says is 1 kibetza. Is considered achilas arai. He says achilas arai is 2 or 3 kibetza, and Rabbi says 1 beitza is achilas arai. Only more than 1 kibetza is achilas kva. He said pachos mikabetza. It's mashma that if it's exactly a beitza, you have to eat in the sukkah. The Gemara answer is dilma pachos mikabetza netilo bracha lo boy hakibetza boy netilo bracha. The reason the Mishnah specified a kibetza was not for the halacha of sukkah. So the halacha of sukkah, even if it was a kibetza, you don't have to eat it in the sukkah. The nafkamina being a kibetza exactly is for gabe and netilas yadayim, that if it is a kibetza, then you have to actually wash your hands for bread, and you have to make birkas hamazon after you eat it. That will be the conclusion of today's shir. Hopefully we'll get Shmuel back tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.